First Bank Nigeria Limited hosted the 10th anniversary of its first GEM conference in Lagos, focusing on the theme, The Modern Women Manifesto. It brought together women who are working professionals, entrepreneurs, and other key participants and speakers. Giving the welcome address, the MD and CEO of First Bank, Dr. Adeshola Adedunton, said the bank was committed to promoting wealth creation and empowering women in Nigeria.
I'm particularly delighted that First GEM, our cherished first female-focused product, is already in its third year. 3 years ago, specifically on the 28th of October 2016, we launched this women-centric account designed specifically to meet the financial needs of both corporate and entrepreneurial women. This product, apart from being an account dedicated solely to women, is also lifestyle enhancing. It provides a total lifestyle support for discerning women to enable them meet their economic needs and economic aspirations. It goes without saying that economic stability does impact overall stability of individuals, institutions, communities, and nations. With our First GEM, therefore, our long-term focus is on national economic development. We believe that with the indices we have so far, First GEM is on its right performance track. First GEM promotes savings culture, financial literacy, loan management, wealth creation, and healthy lifestyle for women. It also has a wide array of advisory, health, and current awareness services for the discerning women. May I reiterate that First Bank is committed to the empowerment of women. We understand this story and recognize their invaluable contributions to the economy of our nation in particular, and the global economy in general. Having identified the gaps in their lives, both in the corporate Nigeria and the entrepreneurial space, we are resolutely committed to bridging those gaps effectively by providing the tools required for women's empowerment.
Guest lecturer Professor Meta Gandab, senior lecturer of the ISC Business School, Barcelona, Spain, gave the presentation on negotiation as a tool for winning in business and career.
Negotiation is not a choice. It's an obligation. It's a reality of life. And that's why more you grow in your professional career, more your organization grows, you will only negotiate more and more. And that's why it is very important to use every negotiation as an opportunity to create value. And that's why it is important to prepare for every negotiation. And it's important not just to think about the outcomes, because at the end of the day, outcomes depend on the process. It's important to work on the process. It's like when we learn to communicate, we don't learn to communicate a sentence. We learn to communicate effectively across publics, across audiences, across situations. Same thing is true for negotiation. Use it as a skill. And that's why it is important to practice it. Build trust and relationship. Understand people you are negotiating with. Always prepare your alternatives. Do research. Create an alliance with the person with whom you are negotiating. Don't look at the other person as an adversary, but look at it as a relationship building opportunity. And last, 3 important advices, especially for female negotiators. Confront stereotypes. Don't assume that they are not there. They are there, but confront them and represent a larger constituency. Always imagine that you are not just negotiating for yourself. And last but not the least, see the big picture. And when you see the big picture, you will realize that negotiation is very essential.
Also, the CEO of Convention on Business Integrity, Mr. Soji Apampa, gave an insight into agriculture, the new oil, understanding the value chain.
Right now, nobody is producing the milk urns. There's not a single factory in Nigeria using food-grade stainless steel to create the canisters that the milk should go in. Not one factory. Not one factory. Nobody is providing dedicated leasing. So those are the things that I'm talking about, supporting functions. What are all of those functions that enable you to go from production to market? It's not just along that chain. Yes, there's value addition to be had there, but there are all sorts of new opportunities where nobody is serving the agri value chain. So looking at all of those financial products, there are no financial products for them. Even the women who want to continue to process on their own at home, nobody is giving them the kinds of the financial packages that they need. We in Ladoga alone reached, out of the 530,000 I was talking about, over 10,000 of that number came from Ladoga. So if there was a financial product that could reach them, that would be reaching some 10,000 poor people, and of course that will continue to expand. As a result of putting that factory there, the people who repair motorcycles are there, the people who sell fuel are there, all sorts of other services have moved in just to continue to support the processing that is taking place. So it's really important to understand the supporting functions and the area of the rules. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I've talked only about dairy. I haven't talked about cassava, where from cassava waste, processing the waste which the women didn't know what to do with, ILRI, which is a subsidiary of IITA, managed to develop a process to make it fit for use in feed, in inclusion in animal feed. Today, the grits, cassava peel grits, is going for 100,000 naira per ton, competing with the price of maize. 100,000 naira per ton. Waste, I mean the peels. Every 3 tons of cassava you peel produces 1 ton of waste. So there's waste every day. And from that waste, and what is the cost of the machines to set up the processing of the waste? 2 million naira. That's all. And we know how much tonnage of cassava there is. Nigeria is the biggest producer in the world. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying, yes, look at the value chain, look at going from production to the end, but the real gold, or the oil, shall I say, is in the supporting functions. All those things that enable, because they're missing at the moment. And if you also look at the rules, the things that make it difficult for anyone to export, how to meet export grade, and so on, that is where the big money is today.
Mrs. Ibuko Awoshika, Professor Meta Kandab, the First Lady of Kebbi State, and Mr. Soji Apampa speak further on the event.
There's a major focus by the federal government to diversify the economy of the nation. We want to move from concentration on one source of income for the country to multiple streams of income for our nation, which we have the capacity to. And if your population is 50% women, you're unable to maximize your ability except that other 50% is unleashed, empowered, and enabled. And what we did with Mr. Papa's session was to show all the value chain of agriculture and the opportunities that are available within it and places where women can play. And also to share stories and examples of groups of women that they have worked with in the northern part of Nigeria across different industries, across dairy, across cassava, across maize, in the north and in the south, and to show the value that has been created by aggregating those women together and enabling them. So when you think of all we're trying to do, we want the women to be able to generate resources, but we also want to teach them how to manage those resources in order to create personal wealth for them on the long term. So as the nation builder that we are, as the oldest corporate in this country at 125 years old, for us, it's not just about the fact that we can generate return from it, but it's about adding value to creating resources and growth within the economy of the country.
It's a special product that was started by First Bank, and the whole aim is to empower women. And as we all know, women are the vulnerable sex in society, particularly in low middle income countries. However, they form the bulk of the society, and they're the ones that are constantly in touch with the family. So the thought process is that if you empower them, if you strengthen them, then you're able to build a stronger society. A lot of the indices of our lives, such as health, such as all the aspects of health, for me as a doctor, that is what is most important. Nutrition, a woman that is empowered will be able to nourish her children better. She'll be able to contribute to the education of her children. She'll be able to impact upon the life of her family. And if once the family unit is better built and held together, then it impacts on the community impacts on the village, and that way we can have a healthier nation and country generally. So I support these kind of programs, and I support the product in particular that is targeted at women, and it helps women in the rural areas to grow, to be able to contribute to national development generally.
I think women can tap into the agricultural sector the same way as men can. However, we should bear in mind that women do not have the same level of empowerment at the moment. And there are some things that need to be done for women in order to put them at a position to be able to exploit it. So women need to come together as a collective and find partners who can help to fund their access to inputs, access to the right quality seeds, access to the know-how. Because we have found that where women have received the three things as a bundle, they've been able to do much better. For example, in cassava, they were able to treble their output from like 7-9 tons per hectare all the way to about 24 tons per hectare. In maize, they were able to do the same. Some women went as far as 4.8 tons per hectare on a 6 ton per hectare seed, when they received the same thing that the men were able to do. So the women need to come together as a collective and find those partnerships and bargain with those who can give them access to this sort of thing. And this is the future of agric. Scaling it up so that more women in large numbers can achieve this is what we have been talking about today. And to see the opportunities for paving the way. For example, products like First Gem, products that are directly targeted at women, to see how these also can enable them get into agriculture profitably.
What studies have shown is that women negotiators quite often, they become victims of a stereotype. And when women ask for more, quite often they are punished for that, punished by not receiving good offers, or at times by actually, not receiving what they really deserve. And that's why this talk that I just gave was a summary of research done in economic psychology and social psychology that looks at different strategies that work, that help female negotiators overcome, on one hand, this social backlash effect, and on the other hand, strategies that help female negotiators overcome this stereotype, this bias. Because a woman who has grown up looking at fellow women being punished for asking more or not receiving what they truly deserve, at some point they stop negotiating. They don't ask for more. That's what studies have shown. Out of 10 MBA students from Ivy League schools, out of 10 men, at least 7 try to negotiate their salaries. Out of 10 women, it's only 1 to 2 that try to negotiate their salaries. So that's why my talk was about that. How women can empower themselves, how they can prime themselves for power, and how structured preparation of negotiation actually can help female negotiators overcome the bias and overcome this mental obstacle about negotiation.
A major takeaway from the third First GEM conference is the need to deepen financial inclusion for women alongside strategic empowerment initiatives. This will enable them to serve as economic change agents for the nation.